Okay, my desktop. 1 second, y'all.
She's gonna change the problem is you can't fix it without changing the scene. Like unless you put it into studio mode, which is a good transition at least. Used to go close to what a normal politician should be like. Her and Jugmeat are pretty fucking normal. Yeah, you have second highest concurrent across all categories and languages on the platform right now, only behind AOC. Yeah, but only because I'm like watching AOC. She is doing a really good job with the she's doing a really good job with like the dynamic though. It's not easy to fucking have 300,000 people like deal with technical difficulties in front of a group of individuals already, but okay, well, it's 6, so I'm going to run a fucking 1-minute ad regardless while they're solving these problems, folks. It's top of the hour every hour. It's time for a 60-second ad break. You already know what the deal is. You can subscribe if you no longer want to see the ads for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime. Here's the ad. Listen. All I'm saying is when we streamed together, there weren't this many problems.
Let's see if this is working.
Okay?
If this doesn't work, then I don't know what we're doing. Okay. Hello? Alexis, can you hear me now? Can you all hear me in the chat? Can you all hear her in the chat?
Nope.
Alexis, can we count down from 10? Okay.
Guys, stop saying helper, man.
Hold on. No.
Stop. I don't know how to do it. I want to, but I don't know how to fucking, I don't know how to do it. Okay?
Sort this out. I'm not sure why this isn't working. They say that they can hear you really, really low. Hold on. Let's see. Does that work? Hold on. I think I might be able to get this. Hold on. Does
Steven Crowder destroyed her?
it says
Okay, bro.
but I don't know what they're saying with my desktop audio being muted. Oh, let me see. That's not even an option in my. That's maybe I need to. Huh?
Does she have
yeah,
slobs or
that's
OBS?
Not even an option. Let me see. Does this work? Does this work? Can you hear me now? Oh no, now I can't hear anything. Hello? Now I can't hear anything. All right, guys, sorry, we're gonna have to pause this real quick. I'm gonna restart in a minute. Sorry about this, everybody.
God damn it. I tried. Leftist experience. Holy shit. Unrelated. Do you wear old school or authentic Vans? What? Aren't old school and authentic Vans the same? Is this what you call a filibuster? Use your leftist brain and telepathically communicate. Look, guys, I promise you, I swear to God, I'm trying. I'm trying to fucking help. I promise you. Okay. It's not working. She didn't end it. She didn't end it. She didn't end it. She just her stream went down. Let's see what the fucking chaos is over here. She turned off her stream so she could fix the audio. Still better than I expected. Dude, I'm gonna snipe the other chat too. Stop adding me. AOC so much more relatable to boomers. AOC said you suck. Because your cereal tier list sucks. Fuck you guys, man. My cereal tier list was fucking excellent. Okay? It was excellent. Anybody who talks shit about my cereal tier list is absolutely just bent because I said what had to be said. I'm a goddamn truth teller. And what truth tellers do is tell the fucking truth. Okay? And someone had to stop this bullshit about healthy cereals, dude. People around the world have suffered enough under the oppressive thumb of Kellogg and all these other stupid fucking brands that lie to you and tell you that all on Doge. Whole Nut Cheerios better than you think, you savage. You didn't even take the milk broth into account, you monster. Bro, stop saying Chex is salty. You're making me salty. Hey, yo, play Mario Kart. This is important. Say Nokia, please. I went all in on life savings and I'm down 80%, begging you. There's some good tasting high protein, low carb cereals. Yeah, it's fucking bullshit, dude. Cereal is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be a delicious experience. It's supposed to be bad for you. Why dislike Steven Crowder? Because he fucking sucks. What do you mean? Because he's a fucking idiot. But worst of all, why do I dislike Steven Crowder? Because he's not funny. Okay? If you are an entertaining person, I will give you so much leeway. Like, I will give you so much leeway. If you're an entertaining person, you might be problematic. But if you can make me laugh, I'm probably low-key gonna secretly defend you a little bit, okay? Because life is horrible overall. And if you can make me feel something funny or escape the monotony or just like the horrible existence that we live in, then I'm probably going to be like, yeah, it's still entertaining. Alex Jones is a great example of this. Okay? But fucking Steven Crowder is bad. And also on top of that, he's not even funny or entertaining. And that is a massive problem for me. Do you secretly defend Trump then? Not secretly. I fucking defend Trump's entertainment value all the goddamn time. Sorry we couldn't make it work tonight. Hope we can connect on everything that's going on soon. Oh God, this is fucking falling apart, brother. This is not good. All in a day's work of streaming, ladies and gentlemen. These are things that happen when people do streaming. AOC in some ways was crushing streaming so fucking hard every single time that she did it that it made us look like fucking clowns. You know what I mean? So now at least this is like redemption arc for streamers. Like our job is not that easy. You know what I mean? Like it's. What are your thoughts on Dogecoin? No, dude, I don't care about fucking that sort of stuff. Mommy forgot me at school. That's how I feel right now. Kind of sucks if they didn't want you because of your past. Makes leftist coalition building that much harder. Dude, that's not the reason, man. That's ridiculous. Look, you're talking about fucking stonks and shit. I don't have to be on every single time that she's on the platform, okay? Like, you only care about your 1 hour ads. We all know that. Yeah, that's the only thing I care about is my 1 hour ads. And it's not like brand risk and shit like that. What is this? Canute?
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. WH Omega Lul.
Who is that? I do not know. Where I'm from in Norway, we do not have 3-letter politicians. There's still people in our chat trying to give her advice. What would you do if fear was not a factor and you could not fail? Would AOC still be considered progressive in Norway? Yes. Can you explain why Shabibo is retweeting this and generally supporting the movement of Redditors? Because Ben is a fucking clout shark, first and foremost. That's why, look, Ben Shapiro is a pussy, okay? You need to remember that. Like, if he actually legitimately was like OG conservative, he would have stood by his original stance on, gay people instead of changing it up to say like, well, you can't be gay and an Orthodox Jew at the same time. Well, you could, but you have to suppress your homosexuality. Like, that's pussy shit. Like, he still is a homophobe. It's not like he had a moment where a moment of self-reflection and like actually grew and his opinions changed. No, he's still a fucking gigantic homophobe. He just can't say it out loud because he still wants to be accepted in liberal circles in the halls of intelligentsia, right? So that's precisely why he had to jump on the bandwagon of the Reddit army. In the real world, Ben Shabibo is absolutely on board with the fucking hedge funds. He's a neocon. Like, yeah, he loves this fucking hyper-capitalist hedge funds ruining the planet bullshit. Those are the main investors. Those are the people that he wants to give full control to, okay? Those are the brilliant people who deserve it. Ben is a capitalist. The only reason why he's like siding with the Redditors in this circumstance is because he knows that a lot of his audience are fucking weirdo ANCAP Reddit lords, and that's why he needs to make it seem like he's on the side of the common man. And also because this isn't like a fucking labor uprising. This is still a bunch of people who are trying to become capital owners, basically. A bunch of people who had a little bit of disposable income and are now trying to Bro, what did you screenshot this from a toaster, dumbass? The least you could have done if you wanted to do the fucking funny meme is get a higher quality screenshot. This is not real, chat. Shut the fuck up. You gotta give people a warning before you raid them, so your chat doesn't go full Coomer every time you raid a girl. When you raided Abby last night, chat got bad, really? Dude, I don't... Tough to pick sides on a money versus money fight for Ben. No, you're being sarcastic, right? That's precisely why he's like functionally on the side of the Redditors. Because it's not like those are, you know, the poors, the workers. They're still, even if they're workers, they're still workers who are trying to make money through the stock market. Wait, evergreen tweet by him? I literally hover over it. Says, this tweet from Bishop has been withheld in Germany, France, based on local laws. Learn more. Oh, the Israelis like to build, Arabs like to bomb crap and live in open sewage. This is not a difficult issue. Yeah. When you go on the Jimmy Dore show, or will your uncle get pissed at you? Why the fuck would I go on the Jimmy Dore show, dude? My uncle will get pissed at me. I'm working class and I got in with 500 at 38. This could be life-changing for me. If we're asking questions, how you feel about popular Minecraft YouTuber and streamer Dream, most commonly known in the series for the series Minecraft Manhunt and famously dating British three-head twink George Not Found? What? I don't know anything about that at all. I don't know anything about this like SMP shit. Okay, I don't know. I know that some of the SMP, is it SMP? Is that like their team or something? What is it called? They're all like 14-year-old British twinks with like 7 gorillion followers. I don't know. Is it SMP? What is it? Survival multiplayer? Oh, that's what it means? Anyway, and they seem like nice people. I know that there are some of them are actually... What the fuck? Oh, that scared the shit out of me, dude.
Okay, can you guys see me? Thank goodness gracious. There was something real complicated that got really hairy and tangled in the back end. So thank you guys so much for your patience. I'm super excited. We are back. I think we fixed the situation. We're gonna have Alexis. Let me tweet. Thank goodness. Yeah, it was something that was not super intuitive. So shout out to our mod team. And let's see, I'm tweeting out the link for you guys. Super excited. Thank goodness. How crazy. Anyways, so really excited. We're back. Let's get back into it. So appreciate it. Thank you guys. My, you know, inner, I say this with a lot of love and respect, but my inner old person came out, and I'm very thankful that that you all were there doing tech support for me. Okay, let's go. Let's kick it to Alexis. I don't want us to delay anymore. So let me hop on here. Let's see. Alexis, are you there?
Can you hear me?
All right, I can hear you. Can our folks at home? Can our folks at home hear?
By the way,
Alexis?
I hope this fucking shows you, all of you who shit on me all the time and call me a fucking boomer, put some goddamn respect, okay? See, it's not that easy, motherfucker.
Today, Alexis, especially on such short notice with these crazy events going on. So thank you. And, you know, in our last stream, I ended the last stream, but for folks who are just joining on, Alexis is a former Wall Street professional who then took her expertise and her experience and insight, turned to Occupy Wall Street, and now she works on financial reform. So, Alexis, do you want to tell us a little bit about your story before we get into it?
Thank you again, Congresswoman, so much for having me tonight. It's really a pleasure to be here with you. So I worked on Wall Street for the beginning of my career. I interned there. I worked there right out of college. You know, I went to school in New York. I went to Columbia. I studied computer science, and that's just, you know, who recruited at Columbia for the computer science majors with the banks. And I worked there for about 7 years. At first I was a programmer, and then I moved into kind of more software design. And, it's a pretty crushing place to work. It's, and every birthday I would sort of look back and say to myself, what am I doing with my life, right? I'm making more wealthy people even more wealthy, and that is what I'm spending my time doing. And so in 2010, I quit. I did a little bit of tech consulting, and then in 2011, Occupy Wall Street happened, and I started going down to the park after some young women were pepper sprayed in a kettle by the NYPD. And at first I was a little bit skeptical, but I was really moved by the process, which was so different than a very hierarchical framework that I was used to on Wall Street, right? It was consensus driven. We were all listening to each other. Everybody's voice was really tried to be heard. There was this concept of progressive stack, where they would write down everyone that wanted to ask a question and then try to have people ask questions in sort of reverse order of, your power in society, basically.
Friggin' anarchist, bro.
So it was really a learning experience for me. And then I co-founded what I call the world's nerdiest book club, which was this group called Occupy the SEC. And we studied this comment letter. We wrote a comment letter about a regulation called the Volcker Rule, which was meant to lower risk that Wall Street firms were creating by trading for their own accounts. And we wrote this very, very long comment letter, and it got a lot of media attention because it didn't fit the narrative of what people thought when they thought about Occupy. They were like, Occupy Wall Street, not only can they not read, they definitely can't write. And here we were writing this very, very long comment letter.
Hassan was a right-winger in 2010?
After that, I moved into nonprofit advocacy, and now I work at a group called Americans for Financial Reform.
Oh, I wasn't.
And we basically fight for a safer and fair economy overall. And so that's my story.
Mm-hmm. It's incredible.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with being a fucking right-winger and then learning from your stupid mistakes, but I wasn't.
How the world works in that, I was telling folks earlier that around that time,
I wouldn't be embarrassed. I had fucking reactionary takes on shit.
That happened
I've openly admitted them.
Wall Street area.
But I was never a right-winger.
Just donated space in the area for a few months. And so it's so weird how we were probably within a block of each other back then, and now it only took 10 years, right?
Right.
So
a decade later.
Yeah, exactly. A decade later, we're on a Twitch stream together. So I'm really excited. You wrote this super insightful article, this week about
Hassan is a right winger, proven.
GameStop, all of the stuff that's going on. So, if you could give for anyone on this stream that isn't fully caught up on the situation, if you could give a 1-minute overview on where we're at right now, kind of like you did in your article, and then let's dive into some of these deeper questions and where are we today, and where are we in terms of the positioning of hedge funds and everyday people in
some of your Twitter thirsting was kind of sus. I thirsted over Kirsten Gillibrand and
Congresswoman. The
Sarah Palin.
That is on my Twitter.
And Kimberly Guilfoyle and Ivanka Trump.
My pinned tweet, but I'll do my best to do it in a minute. But before I get into that, I just want to sort of take a step back and say that I think the events of this last week lead us to some pretty deep questions about how do we want to marshal the resources of society and what do we want to pay attention to, right? Do we want physicists designing trading algorithms, or do we want them focusing on climate change? Mm-hmm. So that's sort of my big picture question for everybody. So you just want sort of a walkthrough of what happened and who was involved?
Yeah,
is that right?
So let's talk about broad strokes for folks watching that have, haven't quite wrapped their mind around it. How did we get to a bunch of Redditors squeezing hedge funds to the point where there's this idea that, hedge funds might have to get bailed out? Or people floating this idea?
Sure. So I think it's a combination of things. I would say we have a K-shaped recovery right now, right? We have some people that are doing terribly, that are still unemployed. We have some people who are fortunate enough to work from home, who have some disposable income and extra time on their hands. Some of the people in the latter category have begun trading stocks in their spare time at home and, working remotely with nothing else to do. And so this Reddit forum that's been around for a very long time called Wall Street Bets, I think grew and grew and grew. Just as a lot of people, again, and I want to say this isn't everybody. I know a lot of people don't have disposable income to trade stocks and to trade options. But some people got really interested in this forum. It grew. And one technique that I would say Wall Street certainly has used against each other historically is trying to squeeze what are called shorts. So a short, so you can buy stocks, right? That lets you own a tiny piece of a company. You can also bet against a stock, and that's called shorting a stock. And the way that that works operationally is you borrow that stock from somebody else, you immediately sell it, and then you hope that it goes down. And if it goes down a lot, you can buy it for really cheap. You return it back to the person you borrowed it from, and you get to keep the profit. So that works fine and good if the stock goes down. But if the stock got to go up and up and up, now you're losing a lot of money. Now you're starting to sweat. Now you're starting to get nervous. And you either have to hold it out and hope that it turns around, or you have to buy it back for much more money. And so the sort of scheme, I guess, or the idea on Wall Street bets was to find stocks that they liked and thought were good, that were very heavily shorted, buy them, tell everybody and all their friends to buy them, and that would force the shorts to eventually give up and have to buy the stock back themselves, which would only then raise the price even more.
Yup.
I will say that the other thing that made GameStop and all these other stocks go up even higher than that is people were also buying what are called options. And options are a derivative. This starts to get into an alphabet soup, so feel free to break in at any time.
Of
but
course.
An option gives you the right, but not the obligation, to buy a stock in the future for a set price. So an option on GameStop that expires in a week might have what's called a strike price, and the strike price is the price you get to buy it at in the future. And why am I saying all of this? When you buy an option, you buy it from somebody on Wall Street, typically a market maker, who usually owns that stock. And they are saying, I have 100 shares of stock, and I am agreeing to sell it to you in the future at a set price. But if they don't own the stock, they have to buy the stock to hedge the position. So you had short sellers who were potentially going to have to buy GameStop. You had people on Wall Street bets buying a lot of GameStop. You had people on Wall Street bets buying options on GameStop. And then you had the people selling the Wall Street bettors options also having to buy GameStop stock in order to hedge their option position. So that sort of created this upward momentum in the stock. I do want to say that I don't think it's that simple. I think the important thing to remember about Wall Street is they don't want other people to know what they're trading. They want to know what their competitors are trading, and their competitors want to hide it from them. They pay a lot of money to try to figure out what their competitors are trading. And all of a sudden, you had a Reddit forum that was telling everyone on Wall Street not only what their position was, what their plans for the position was, and what they were trying to get their friends to do with the position, which, is actually Wall Street's dream, is to know what other people are going to do with a stock in the future. So what I suspect happened is, in addition to all these people on Reddit buying, in addition to the people who were hedging their option sales buying, you had a lot of people on Wall Street saying, oh, this is going to go up and I'm going to get ahead of it. And I'm going to ride it all the way to the top.
And you get to
when it
fucking
starts to crash,
own a
I'm
hedge
gonna ride
fund,
it all
a
the way back to
competitor
the
hedge
bottom.
fund in the process.
So that's sort of the shortest possible version I can give about what started this.
So in a way, with all of this potential activity, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but in a way, are you saying that you have all of these Wall Street actors that are seeing what's going on potentially with this online activity and saying, well, we know that there's going to be a high volume of buys ahead of time, so I'm also going to buy under kind of the guise of all of this online
I couldn't catch
activity
the
going
shut the
on,
fuck up, guys.
and then potentially make out on top of it as well.
Yes.
That's what you're saying too? So
Yes,
this
that is my suspicion, yes.
So you suspect that this is not just Redditors buying this stock, but that it's also potentially larger actors on the market, and that's something to explore, that this is potentially larger actors on the market looking at activity happening ahead of time and then getting ahead of it that as well, and almost using that as a veneer for riding this stock.
Yeah. And there's one other wrinkle to all of this that I think is important for folks to know, which is a lot of folks have used the app Robinhood, which I like to think of as the Facebook of stock trading. And I say that because Facebook is sort of designed to keep you on Facebook, right? It's designed to grab your attention and keep your attention. And Robinhood is very similar. I would describe it as gamified. I know a lot of Robinhood folks would disagree with that assessment. That's just my personal assessment. But Robinhood is free. It doesn't charge commission. And the way that their business model works is they sell their order flow to market makers, which are these sophisticated Wall Street participants who execute the orders for them. The market maker they sell the most of their flow to is a hedge fund named Citadel. And Citadel is not just a hedge fund. They are also a market maker. They are also a technology company. They are owned by a billionaire named Ken Griffin, who is out of Chicago, who has funded some very questionable things in his political giving. But Citadel pays for Robinhood's order flow. And strangely enough, or maybe not so strangely, one of the hedge funds that Wall Street Bets was very excited about blowing up, Melvin Capital, was rescued by Citadel after it blew up. So Citadel is paying for the order flow on Robinhood, which is driving up the price of the stock, which crashed one hedge fund. And then Citadel sort of bought that hedge fund on the cheap after it crashed.
And so, for folks at home, so that we can put these dots together, because I think this is an important relationship for us to communicate and map out with you. So basically, also what you're saying now is that you've got Melvin Capital, right? Melvin Capital.
That same Citadel is the one that got fined for front running their trades ahead of their clients, by the way, last year.
We're going to make a ton of money.
So they would take that flow and hold off on it and sell it ahead of time.
Wall Street Bets comes in, potentially with folks on Wall Street looking at what Wall Street Bets is doing to kind of supercharge this activity and say, you know what, we're going to make the stock go up, which would, of course, put Melvin Capital into an extraordinarily compromised position, which would essentially prompt them to get bailed out by one of the groups known as Citadel. Now, okay, so Citadel then swoops in as one of the actors to bail out Melvin Capital. But Citadel's owner also co-founded a different Citadel. They're both connected, hence the same name by the same owner. They are two technically different entities, though, but the same founder.
Right. So Citadel LLC is the parent company. Citadel Securities is the market maker that buys the Robinhood order flow. But the parent entity, Citadel LLC, is the one that swooped up Melvin Capital. And Congresswoman, I should just add there were actually two Wall Street firms that bought Melvin Capital, or rescued it, I should say. Citadel and another one, now I'm blanking, of course, on the name, but it's the new fund of Steve Cohen, who you may know as the owner of the New York Mets. And Steve Cohen is famous for all the wrong reasons.
Is what the chat said.
Yes, thank you. Steve Cohen is famous, or infamous, I should say, because he used to have a hedge fund called SAC that pled guilty to insider trading in 2013 and had to shut itself down. And so this is the next iteration of Steve Cohen.
Right. So we've got Citadel and then Point72, who bail out Melvin Capital, who are relying on GameStop stock to tank. So Citadel swoops in to bail out Melvin Capital. But then meanwhile, this connected Citadel under the same founder, it also receives the advanced information from Robinhood. That's what you're saying?
Yes, and I should clarify that's not unusual. That is allowed. It is something called payment for order flow. During the Obama administration, they raised the question about whether or not that was a good idea. They asked one of their SEC, which is a market regulator, they asked the SEC's advisory committee if payment for order flow was just kind of disguising how you were really paying for stock trading. So the idea is Robinhood is free. You don't pay commission, but the broker is supposed to make sure that they give you what's called best execution. So they execute your trade and either get you the best price or they execute it really, really fast. Citadel is paying Robinhood for that order flow, and they pay them via these things called rebates. And Citadel might pay, whatever they pay. A different market maker may pay a little bit higher rate. And what is not supposed to happen is the broker is not supposed to give the order flow to the highest bidder, because that would prevent them from giving their customers best execution. People should know that Robinhood was accused by the SEC in December of 2020 of not giving their customers best execution and actually costing them $34 million, even when you accounted for the free commissions, because of their failures to provide them with best execution.
So you're saying just a month ago, Robinhood was in trouble for not optimizing their customers' trades?
Yes, it was covering a period of time farther back in time, right? It was, I think, in the 2018 range, but the action came down. Robinhood did not admit nor deny guilt in the action, but they did have to pay a civil penalty to the SEC to settle the charges.
And they did pay that penalty to the SEC. So these were charges that came up from the SEC just 1 month ago, but these were they were regarding actions that happened in 2018, but that this is documented past behavior from Robinhood.
Correct. And the other thing is Robinhood wasn't disclosing, another part of that action was Robinhood wasn't disclosing that they were paying our market maker for the order flow. So why do I bring all this up? I bring this all up to say, is Robinhood doing the best by their customers? Are these fintech companies that are so easy to use that lots of people are using to trade stocks, are they doing right by their customers? I think that's an important question that regulators should be asking right now.
So let's talk a little bit about what happened today with the freeze that you saw, not just on Robinhood, but on, I believe, E-Trade, Wellbull, etc., where you have a lot of these retail, these retail platforms, all of a sudden putting a halt to some trades on not just GameStop, but there was also some activity, I believe, around AMC and other stocks that have been particularly identified by the subreddit Wall Street Bets.
Say it, meme stocks.
Tell me a little bit about
the
what
meme
is going
stocks.
through your head when you see activity like that.
What a stupid conversation we're having.
There are multiple possibilities here. I think a lot of people sometimes want to jump to certain conclusions, but in order for us to really responsibly look at the situation, it does seem like there's more than one potential explanation. But I'm interested in hearing what's going through your head when you see that, and what are some of the possibilities that could arise.
What a fucking
So I just don't
timeline.
know why Robinhood made the decisions they did to stop trading, allowing purchases of certain single name stocks today. Their decision was a little different than some of the other brokerages. So for example, so think of it from the point of view of the brokerage, right? Especially if people are selling stocks short, which has the potential for unlimited losses. If your client goes bust and enough of your clients goes bust, then the brokerage goes bust. Mm-hmm. So what a different brokerage did, not Robinhood, but one called Interactive Brokers and some other brokers on the that regular people use, is they just changed what's called their margin requirements. So if you wanted to buy a stock in some of these really active, volatile names today, you had to supply 100% cash margin. And what does that mean? You basically just had to front all of the money yourself, which might sound funny to people who don't trade stocks, but believe it or not, you can sometimes trade stocks with borrowed money. So they were basically saying you can't borrow any money. You got to trade cold hard cash if you want to buy these stocks. So that's what I sort of would have expected to see from everybody. Instead, what we saw is Robinhood just straight up saying you can't trade in any of these names. Now, I don't know that we know any more than that. Was there, direction coming in from regulators? Was this just a decision made by Robinhood? I don't think we know, but I was a little surprised at their action as it related to what other brokers did. And I should just say, if we can just rewind very slightly, because I forgot to mention this before about the whole idea of payment for order flow. The reason that's important is because the firm that you give your order flow to knows what your executions are, and they can run in front of it and front run and trade ahead of it and make profits. which may be fine or may not be fine.
Which
but
is
I just
literally
thought
what
that that's
Citadel
important to
did.
mention.
So you're
and
saying,
Citadel,
sorry, you're just about to say, and Citadel's the one who receives that advanced
Correct.
information,
And have
from
done it
Robinhood.
and have gotten fined
Correct.
for it.
All of these folks, but that advanced information only lasts for a few seconds.
It's literally illegal, and they got
correct, but
fined for
Citadel
it.
is known, and other entities that do this market making are known for their high frequency trading algorithms. That's their specialty. They're experts. They hire tons and tons of programmers, and so they're allowed to make profit ahead of that. But I think the question that a lot of people have, and we just don't have enough information to know, is were they doing more with that information than just executing the trades?
And so those are some of the questions that seem to be outstanding, right? Because if Citadel's receiving this advanced trade information from Robinhood, I go on my phone, except not me, because I don't believe members of Congress should own individual stocks, so I don't have any. But hypothetically, if I'm on Robinhood and I hit my order along with thousands of other people at that moment, Citadel is potentially able to get that information milliseconds in advance. And in those milliseconds, their trading algorithms could adjust, knowing that advanced execution information. Is that correct?
Yes. And I'll say that since a
And in
lot of the
some
Robinhood
instances-
trades are very low volumes,
in some instances, they would literally wait.
And so Citadel might be trading in much larger volumes and then matching the orders as they batch them together. Again, all in this sort of time of many microseconds. But that's what they specialize in doing, is this very, very
And the only
high
reason
speed,
why they got fined for it
high-frequency
was
trading,
because
as
they
it's called.
waited.
And so I
They
think
waited until
here,
they could trade at a
for
better
folks that are
position for
watching at
themselves
home,
before executing
this is
trades
what
for
raises a bunch of
other people that they were
questions, not just for me,
front running for.
but also from, I think, this is why this is starting to attract the attention of regulators, members of Congress, etc., because there's a lot of policy questions that come up. Policy questions about
Chat, if you keep
shorting
being
stock,
weird, you can
policy
fuck right off and
questions
watch it
about,
on her fucking
as
stream,
you
dude.
said,
I don't understand. No one is stopping you to.
some of this
Like,
advanced
no one is forcing you to watch it here.
You mentioned the Obama administration started to raise some questions.
You guys
about,
are being so fucking weird, dude. I get
the
it. It's
potential
like
for this.
cute
and
and
I
funny,
think this
but
also is about power.
get the fuck
right?
outta here.
Because everyday retail investors don't get that. Even if you were able to, who knows, program something at home, you do not have that millisecond advance information. You just don't have the market power to have that, right?
Right. And I think that's the reason why.
Why are you still
yes,
watching?
lots of
'Cause
people
I'm
are
interested.
making
This is an
money right
interesting
now.
fucking
Yes, one
conversation.
or two hedge funds are blowing up, but there's still always going to be a systemic disadvantage that retail has. And that Wall Street is always going to have the advantage. They have more data. As you said, Congresswoman, they're faster. They can execute things faster. And so they're always going to run circles around the little guy, even if it seems like they're losing.
Yeah, and so I think this is something that's important for us to kind of talk about too, because this is ultimately so much of what has made this story, I think, really exciting to people at home, is that at least for this 1 week, at least for these 3-4 days, it finally felt for so many people at home that are seeing this happen, people were really feeling like everyday people were finally able.
The only reason why you're here and talking is
collectively
because I respond to you. You don't give a fuck about the
and
conversation. You're
get
just only
back
here to get a
at the
reaction.
folks who have historically had all the marbles on Wall Street.
I'll give you the reaction you want.
And force one
bitch.
hedge fund
There you go.
into an existential crisis. But that is what has happened in this short window of time, people really feeling this rush of organizing, etc. But it still raises, I think, this overall question of who are all of these rules, and who is the concentration of power and money still benefiting and still advantage towards. And some of those underlying rules haven't changed, right? It's still the wealthy and still the powerful.
Right. And I would say that, I'm always the skunk at the garden party here, but unfortunately, when volumes are high, and they've hit record highs this week, Wall Street prints money. They were incredibly profitable in the pandemic when lots of people were trading. I am sure they were incredibly profitable today. This is what they do every day. They trade in, they trade out. They don't care if the market goes up or down. They make money on volatility, and volatility is churn. And so I think the larger question here is, how do we want to design our economy? Do we want to incentivize people who study science to write trading algorithms instead of working on climate change? Do we want people who are graduating with PhDs to pursue these more lucrative jobs on Wall Street, in order to make more money for the wealthy? I mean, look, I did that when I got my computer science degree. I can't say that I would recommend it, but unfortunately, the way we sort of incentivize and organize our society right now, some of the really wonderful brain power is being spent figuring out how to optimize your options trading algorithm.
Yeah.
And I think if we can do some of these bigger, more structural things, and this is, something, Congresswoman, I think we have in common, like
dude.
if we can cancel student debt, if we can, have a wealth tax, if we can regulate these big, powerful Wall Street actors, we can hopefully start to rearrange the incentives of our society so some of the brightest people aren't using their PhDs designing trading algorithms on Wall Street. And that's sort of the bigger picture that I hope people think about.
Yeah, no, I mean, that is so powerful. I remember around the time I was graduating college, it was so similar. The folks that were on campus that are recruiting, it's around the time that I graduated, it was, Silicon Valley, it was big banks, consulting groups, etc., that kind of suck up so much of the most talented people in our society. And yet, what does that talent go towards? And if it's to make, do we really need physicists making trading algorithms certain milliseconds faster? Or do we need that brain power in stopping climate change, or actually, some of that? And even if it's not just STEM fields, but even folks that get picked up by consulting organizations that are really profound generalists, strategists, etc. Should that be going there, or should we be creating opportunities? This is one of the big, plug alert, but this is one of the tenets of the Green New Deal. We need to create 20 million jobs across skill sets, from basic labor in actually building infrastructure to some of the most, sophisticated scientific skill sets, and investing and expanding those skill sets. We need to create 20 million jobs across the board minimum in order for us to make the infrastructure and policy changes to match the science of the crisis of our time. And one of the challenges towards that is the fact that so much of our social capital and human capital is being concentrated in arguably some of the wrong sectors at this time, or disproportionately being weighed into certain sectors. So I think you're completely right on that.
I think it makes me think back to the priorities in the CARES Act and the priorities we might even have right now, right? We have a real opportunity to provide people with like a way to actually survive the pandemic and get cash in people's pockets, cancel student debt, change our healthcare system. And is that what we're going to do? Or if we have another market crisis, which like we did last spring, is all of the energy of Congress going to pour into saving the bond market, which I would argue is what happened. And I'm sorry if you can hear my dog.
No, you're
who is whining. That's the kind of thing that I hope we can sort of reorient ourselves in this new year about what are our priorities and how can we make sure that people can do what they want with their lives and not have to hustle and, pursue the best paying job, but can actually maybe try to contribute to society. But it's going to take policy, right? And so we're counting on you and all of your colleagues, I think, to make that happen.
No, of course. Thank you so much for joining us, Alexis. We really appreciate it and your insight.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman. It's great to be here.
Thank you. All right. So that was, so incredible. I hope you guys got some insight from there. We had some lineup switches. So we have an amazing addition for you all today.
The person that was just speaking is Alexis Goldstein.
Drum rolls. I mentioned earlier, we're going to have the stock guy on. In my whatever technical difficulties during all that time, we also had a lineup.
For those of you who are wondering,
we have one of the founders of Reddit, Alexis Ohanian, coming on too. Let me hop on here on the live. Can you all hear me? Oh, can they hear me? Alexis, I think you're muted. I think the stock guy's muted too.
There
Hi,
it
guys.
is.
All right. Oh my
Hey.
goodness. Amazing. Thank you both so much for
I
hopping
should be
on.
stretching. I'm gonna get up.
Absolutely.
Holy
Fun to
cow.
be here.
Thanks
Let
for
me
having
start
us.
with some introductions. I'll start off first. Alexis, I mean, you need no introduction, but why don't you reintroduce yourself to everybody, and who you are and what we're talking about today?
Sure. Well, a long time ago, I co-founded a website called Reddit right out of college, and no longer at the company. I'd resigned from the board back in June of last year. But in these days, I'm running a venture firm I started called 776. But I spent a lot of time on the internet, and a lot of folks have been asking for my take on what this is, and I've been learning and watching, really, I think, just as everyone
Mr.
else has,
Reddit.
because this has been quite unprecedented. And I'm happy we've got the stock guy here, because I even as a layperson, it seems to me that a hedge fund shorting like 130% of the float seems mathematically impossible, and seems like quite a problematic place to start. But it was some clever traders that saw an opportunity to take advantage of that and make an investment. And here we are now, still watching it all unfold.
Awesome. And Stock Guy, would you like to introduce yourself to everyone watching?
Yeah, absolutely. Before I say I got to do this for legal reasons, I am not a financial advisor. Everything I do is for entertainment and education purposes only. Now that we have that out of the way, no, I'm just a regular guy. I've been trading stocks of about a little over a decade. Started during the 2008 crisis. A couple years ago, I started streaming here on Twitch. I was looking for a place to kind of talk stocks and hang out while I was trading. Everything I found on the internet was just kind of not my style, so I started streaming here. It started picking up. I started noticing that people actually wanted to learn about not just stocks, but the economy, finance, personal finance, about interest rates, how to be better off financially. It's something that's not taught, maybe by design, and a lot of people never get ahead in life. And I thought, hey, if I could use some humor, I could use some knowledge, and teach people some life-changing things that they really, really need to know, and they want to watch me. Hey, I'll do it. And I've been blessed to have this is my career now, and I think it's amazing. And and this entire debacle has just been a whole nother level.
Yeah, so let's get into that. I'm interested in hearing from both of you. What has it been like to, and I mean, you've been in this, like, in a driver's seat in a way, watching this unfold, having your profession already be breaking these types of developments down to people, and then to see something as unprecedented as what happened this week. Walk me through a little bit about, like, what you're hearing folks ask you and what you make of this entire situation, and kind of what the horizon is from your perspective.
Well, I think the first thing I want to touch on is I thank you for having me. I think the one voice that's been lost in this whole conversation is the retail trader. Everybody having this conversation is a hedge fund manager or a pundit or a billionaire or a news person or a politician talking about the little guy, the retail trader. Well, nobody asked the retail trader, so I do appreciate the opportunity to, not that I speak for all, but I think that it's nice to be able to hear from that. I actually just did a YouTube video explaining how we got here in this situation, about how the entire GameStop situation folded out, right? Or came out.
The petty
A lot of people
bourgeois.
are putting the blame on Wall Street Bets. And I see this argument on all the newscasts about, well, it's this group of retail investors that got together to conspire to take down the economy and take down the big bad wolf. And I think that that's easy. It's so easy to find someone to blame when the blame starts way before Wall Street Bets, way before Reddit, way before any other forum. This is just a group of people who, I mean, Wall Street Bets is not a group. It's an idea, right? Anybody who is a retail trader who trades stocks, who wants to make some money in an economy that they're never going to retire, they're never going to own a home, they're never going to have the way of life that their parents and grandparents had. So they get an opportunity. They get an opportunity, and they see that opportunity to get something, to actually get ahead and to taste what all those people, in their castles have. And the second they do, And that's where we're at right now. And you know, I mean, I'm not going to get into legalities of it because I'm not a lawyer, but you know, this is where we're at with it.
Yeah, Alexis, I'm so interested in hearing your perspective because in so many ways, you know, you created this platform, but like so many other things, part of it is something that you help build, but then to see the creative ways that people use it, how it's manifested, etc., it's just, you know, a completely different level and iteration. And first of all, I always think it's very humorous when anyone tries to explain what Reddit is on CNBC or anywhere else, much less like Facebook in a congressional hearing. But you know, to hear people kind of talk about this, I'm interested in your take, like the community and almost
Isn't Alexis kind of based, or am I crazy? He's like kind of a
like
weird,
watching something,
kind of a
like
weird
this?
dude, right?
And could you ever, in your wildest dreams, however many years ago, when you were cooking up Reddit,
I mean,
in your
he
dorm
built Reddit,
room?
so of course he's a weird dude. But like,
no chance.
he's
could
like
any of this have been predicted.
he's kind of like a progressive,
I think,
in a
and
weird
I
way,
want to
right?
stress and just echo. I think Stock Guy's spot on here. There's not a singular monolith community of, you know, Wall Street bets, just like there isn't a singular monolith community of K-pop fans or vegans or right. This is community. This is something that spans platforms and the internet, and especially in the last 10 years in particular, as social media and, you know, smartphone ubiquity and all these things have connected us in real-time ways to organize around ideas, around concepts. That energy is something we as humans are really good just biologically at rallying around. And yet, you know, we seek out those communities. We seek out that sense of identity. We seek out that sense of connection, and the internet supercharges it because of scale. And what we're seeing is we've seen echoes of it in so many different arenas in industry, or excuse me, in society across so many different industries. And now I see so many stories from people that remind me of conversations that I had and heard and saw after 2008 and the recession. And you know, I think this is something that is a part of a new normal that we're all now going to have to navigate. And I think one of the byproducts of where I think it continues to go is more of a push towards a decentralization and more of a push toward individuals being able to take ownership, even individuals being able to get access to do the same things that institutions historically had a monopoly on. And I think that's the thing that blew me away as I understood it. And I know Stock Guy can go in on this. Like the act of shorting a company like this and whatnot is behavior that we really need to call into question, because it doesn't seem at all sustainable when you can do that to more shares that are actually available. And it exposes some real fundamental flaws. And I really hope, and I think so many Americans are hoping that the little guys, the ones who normally end up picking up the tab, are the ones who will ultimately continue to be empowered and supported, and not the banks, not finance, not Wall Street.
Yeah. No, I mean, and you know, the Stock Guy, you spoke to this so well, where it's like little over 10 years ago, all of us got screwed, frankly, in the recession. And so much, I think, of this moment too is that we never saw a single person who was responsible for, what was it, 16 million or so foreclosures, just millions of people losing their homes, getting evicted, getting their cars repossessed, you know, having to live off of rice and beans for months at a time. We didn't see anyone go to jail for that. And we didn't see virtually anybody held accountable in any serious way. And it almost felt like this week, one of the reasons that there was this huge, almost populist, bottom-up type of rally on what was going on was that